If there's one lat exercise that's truly considered old school, it's the basic dumbbell pullover. This was the bread and butter lat width movement for many bodybuilders back in the 60s and 70s. And for whatever reason today, this movement's gone out of style. But today, I'm gonna show you how to perform this movement for wide and massive lats. And I'm also gonna show you another variation that you should be using alongside it that I bet you have never done before. So let's get to it. The dumbbell pullover can be used in many different ways, but today we're going to be focusing on using it as a lat-specific exercise. To accomplish this, you can lay down with your back flat on a bench, or for a deeper stretch, and how Arnold liked to perform the movement, you can lay down with your body across the bench, allowing you to drop the hips, creating a larger range of motion. But regardless, from there, the technique is still the same for lat training. Start with the dumbbell overhead with a slight bend in the elbows. Keeping the chest up, and with that slight bend in the elbows, you want to stretch the lats all the way back behind the head into the fully stretched position. Once fully stretched, the key is pulling the dumbbell back over the head with the elbows still bent. Many people try to turn this movement into a pullover tricep extension hybrid, which is also why many people fail to get a great contraction of the lats. Now, the dumbbell pullover is an excellent movement, but where it really shines is the tension on the lats in the lengthened position, or the fully stretched position. This is what really brings out that development of the lats. Just like I always say, a full stretch and a full contraction is what builds muscle. But on a traditional dumbbell pullover, you get a decent contraction, but due to gravity at the top, the lats aren't fully shortened. To remedy this, a good pullover machine or a basic cable pullover can be used. But even with a regular cable pullover, it's still fairly difficult to fully contract the lats, as you're balancing your body weight and the resistance of the weight on the machine. And as you go heavier, you're not very stable in this movement. To remedy this, I like to perform a pull-down, pull-over hybrid with a cable and rope attachment. By leaning forward and completely locking out the elbows, we start in the vertical pulling plane, similar to a lat pull-down. But because of our body position, the weight is not only pulling us up, but also back, very similar to a dumbbell pullover. As we focus on locking the torso and pulling the elbows towards the body, the elbows are forced to travel from above the head, out in front of the body, and then back in towards the body. The exact motion of a pullover. But now the key of this movement isn't just the range of motion, it's the full contraction in the shortened position. And if done correctly, there's almost zero activation of the biceps, making this movement about 90% pullover and 10% pull down. To get the most out of these two movements, I recommend you start with the dumbbell pullover first in the session and get the most out of the deep stretch in the lats. And then you go right into the pullover with a cable and focus on the deep contraction of the lats. If you perform these two movements correctly, your lats should have some of the deepest and most painful pump you've ever experienced before. If you're struggling to build your lats, I highly recommend you incorporate these two movements into your training now. And if you're looking to build more muscle, using proven old school bodybuilding training methods, I highly recommend you check out my 5-day old school masking program in the description below. And as always, if you guys want to see more of the best original bodybuilding content just like this, make sure to hit subscribe.